All right, it's Monday. It feels like fall for like the first time. I think a lot of people are experiencing this, but we're talking about a surprise strike development over the weekend. 72 hours for 7,500 and Chick-Fil-A and how their drive-thrus are the slowest in the industry.
Measure that.
Well, they did.
One way.
They did, and they're slowest.
We're going to talk about that. I got opinions. I got opinions already. So
yes. Oh, man, it is Monday. And if you're watching, we've had a little debate over this in the pre-show. I am not in front of a virtual background, just so you know. This is
I am not either.
Kyle isn't either, right? Kyle painted his studio over the weekend, and I am at home because we're about to embark on our annual fall camping trip with my wife's family. And so I just set up in front of this nice stone fireplace, but it's real. It's real. Not hating on anybody with a virtual background.
Wait a second.
I'm just saying I would never pick this as a virtual background.
Paul, Billy Reynolds just said it's 60 degrees in Central Florida. Even Central Florida is getting fall.
Feel a little bit fall, which means there's Uggs and scarves and ski hats and gloves.
Tell me they don't have Uggs in Florida. Just tell me.
I think they cancel school when it's 60 degrees in Florida.
Like it's going to snow.
We hope you
Florida. We're going to be in Florida this week. Yeah, we're going to the
Wednesday
annual conference. That's going to be amazing.
Did you look at the temperature? Not 60 degrees.
Not 60. No.
If you flip the 6 upside down and you get a 9, it's going to be 90 degrees.
That's exactly.
I don't know that I'm excited about that, frankly. I'm just getting in fall mode. I got like hoodies. I'm like, I gotta recalibrate and all that stuff. Hey, before we get into the show today, kind of like flipping from our usual excitement, we just want to express that our hearts and our prayers are with a lot of our brothers and sisters in automotive. There are a lot of tech companies based in Israel. We don't know of any significant like issues with health or safety, like specifically, but generally speaking, certainly an elevated time. And we have relationships over there. Kyle, you traveled over there earlier this year just to say hi to some people.
Absolutely. And I mean, we know that like a lot of the UVI company, a lot of the Full Path company is based over there. Fuse. And multiple other tech companies born and based out of Israel. I saw that Aaron Horowitz, who is the CEO of Full Path, was saying, hey, a lot of their team members are actually being called up into the military because there's just a different requirement on the military there. So, there'll be tech companies impacted, but it's real lives that are there. So like Paul said, our thoughts and prayers. And I know that the automotive community will rally around that as much as we possibly can, for sure.
Without a doubt. I didn't even think about that being called in the military. So, if you need any connections or with anybody in any of those companies or want to ask out, please feel free to reach out to us. You can DM us or send an email to crew@asotu.com, and the Asotu community is going to do what the Asotu community does.
There it is. That's right.
It's just really a reflection of the broader automotive community. We got a lot of content coming out from AsotuCon. So I think one that was featured in Steve Greenfield's newsletter this morning is the panel that Kyle, you had with Steve and Mike Stanton, president of NADA, Liza Borges, and Damon Lester, who we're going to see later this week. An amazing conversation on the future of the industry. So you can check that out. Also, the next generation of the auto industry. We had a great conversation around, succession with Jamie Butters and Alan Haig and Rick Reichert that we looped into the conversation last minute. And boy, did he just...
That really was such a great conversation. It really was. Yep.
It was fun. I have to say, that was probably one of the most fun times I've ever had on a main stage panel. Just because it kind of felt like I was like super familiar with all three guests. I knew their angles on the industry and I was able to just be in the moment. So I had a lot of fun on that panel too.
That's fun.
Hey, More Than Cars premiere. I know last week we talked a little bit that we were going to release it on the 11th. We actually bumped it a week because we wanted to make sure we were ready for it and that everyone gets to see it. So it's actually going to be on October 18th. We're going to have a LinkedIn event up for it soon if we don't already. Is it up yet?
You can go to our LinkedIn. You can find the event right there and check it out. So on the 18th, 1:00 Eastern, go to the LinkedIn event, find it, and make sure you're there.
And let's just say this. A lot of people are always asking us, how can I help like get the word out about Asotu more? How can I get more people into this community? And this is a major way you can help is by just being on the live stream to watch the premiere, because that's an indicator of people showing interest, which helps our LinkedIn algorithm. It also helps organizations like NADA and other organizations we're trying to get to support the project to see that there's actual desire of the industry to see more content like this. And we'd also be remiss if we didn't shout out Dan Shine, fixed ops editor at Automotive News, for putting a little spot about it in Friday's newsletter that went out about episode 2. Kyle and I spent a lot of time in the fixed ops departments on episode 2, and that's also live on autonews.com. So we really want to thank our friends at Auto News for all their support and care for the dealer community and getting stories out, man.
Absolutely. Speaking of getting stories out.
Segue.
Oh yeah, we needed a break from the sad trombone on a Monday.
I don't have the sad trombone.
Right.
So
I'm glad we don't have. I'm glad you don't have it because we don't need it. As the United Auto Workers strike enters its 4th week with a focus on the negotiations, it's extending beyond just wages. UAW Shawn Fain has opted to forgo additional walkouts. This kind of came up late on Friday, signaling progress in the Detroit 3. Here's the surprise. He commented on recent developments saying, "We had a major breakthrough at GM over compensation for workers at electric vehicle battery plants. GM has agreed to include the battery plants under its national contract." So that hadn't gotten a lot of press, but now is getting a lot of press. Until recently, their UAW's demands didn't explicitly list those things, unionization and battery factories. But, obviously it's a surprise move by GM that now puts pressure on Ford and Stellantis. They're like, oh, great. Now this is a part of the conversation. And like a second part to this story. So that's like good progress. It sounds positive. Whenever Shawn Fain isn't slinging insults, like we're in a good spot, I guess. But meanwhile, this is a nice little nuance to the story posted in Automotive News. The big 3 have maintained their October incentives. So they haven't cut incentives cold turkey. That signals optimism about the ongoing strike. Notably, GM's offers mirror the same offers they had from September. And they did do kind of a rare thing and say, well, these incentives are only good for 2 weeks. So they're obviously hedging a little bit, saying if we have to pull them, we're not committing for the full 30 days. But, overall, it sounds pretty positive.
Yeah, I mean, there's still plenty of ground inventory. Like I said, we're in that, we just said the 4th week. Which I've been saying all along, if we can get a notable progress into the 4th week and not see additional strikes or a pullback on strikes into the 5th week, I really think that we're going to see, inventory both on parts supply and on ground stock be in an okay place. The question mark will be this week. This is kind of, I think, the crux week on whether or not we can accomplish something big where maybe they start putting workers back on the line because they see the progress, or maybe we see some deals reached. That would be really cool. This was exciting. They did the whole like who gets the rose on Thursday, and that was hilarious. So it's this up and down drama. It's kind of interesting, but cool to see progress. The shocking thing being that they're extending this to the EV plants. I don't think anyone saw that coming, especially amidst social pressure from Tesla and Elon Musk, and how he was citing the differences in the cost to produce a vehicle between the legacy manufacturers and Tesla. So it's like I don't even know how they're gonna do it, but they figured it out, I guess.
Speaking of, I don't know how they're gonna do it.
Stop. Segue.
Time.
And if anything's true, you can trust everything the government says would happen. U.S. car dealers are offering federal tax credits on new and used EV purchases can anticipate, the government saying, a 72-hour reimbursement in 2024, says the U.S. Treasury Department. This announcement follows new guidelines set by the Treasury and IRS addressing dealers' concerns on the smooth implementation of fast government payback for this $7,500 credit. The Treasury and the IRS, the new guidance says starting in 2024, eligible EV buyers can transfer these credits to dealers and use them as a down payment. Here's a quote from the Wall Street Journal article. Under the proposed rules, the used EV sales price would be determined before, this is about used, will be determined before any trade-in value is applied and defined as the total sale price agreed upon by the buyer and the dealer in a written contract of sale. So, and they said they're going to separate out any taxes or additional fees required by law. And that's kind of to help that sales price cap. So dealers, here's the important part. If you're a dealer, listen up. If you're a GM, listen up. Dealers can register on the IRS Energy Credits online portal. If you click into this show, there's a link to the exact portal this month. By January 1st, registered dealers can start submitting EV sales data electronically and receive payments for transferred credits. So I guess we'll see.
This is huge. We ran the story a few weeks ago where there are a lot of dealers and people just wondering, hey, are we going to see a reflection of 2008 when incentives were hard to come by and get recouped during cash for clunkers? And this is the government saying, nope, 72 hours. We're going to have those rebates and incentives in the dealer's bottom line. That is a massive help and change. You can also, if you don't go to the show notes here, you can go to our daily email today. I think it's the third story down, recaps a little bit of exactly what's required for the EV tax credits. Also links to the online portal where you can go register. But you got 90 days to make sure you're registered up. All your team is educated on exactly how to get
now. Yeah, don't wait. Start it now. There's like, yeah, and if you don't get the daily email, it's a nice like compliment to the show. Different stories. You can get it at aso2.com. Just thousands of people opening this thing every single day, loving on it. So just a little plug there. And
speaking of thousands of people every single day.
Oh my gosh.
Segue.
I wonder how many thousands of people for real.
A lot, despite having the industry's slowest drive-throughs. I'm putting an asterisk there. Chick-fil-A continues to win the hearts of customers. A recent QSR magazine survey found that while patrons might wait longer at Chick-fil-A drive-thrus, the chain's unmatched accuracy, food quality, and exemplary service satisfaction more than make up for the extended wait times. So the drive-thrus for Chick-fil-A, according to this survey, are the industry slowest, averaging a 5-minute and 12-second wait time. Some people get their food that fast at Longhorn Steakhouse. Taco Bell topped the list as the quickest drive-thru, followed by Wendy's and KFC. Despite the wait, Chick-fil-A led in accuracy, food quality, and customer satisfaction. Here's the real numbers, though. In 2022, Chick-fil-A sales reached $18.8 billion, a 12.8% increase from the previous year. Based on mystery shopper visits for Chick-fil-A, this is the way that people feel. 91% say, well, it's friendly. You know?
Well, here, when we talk about the way people feel, so I think the fastest drive-through time in there was Taco Bell at 3 minutes or 42 seconds. You just got to throw some slop in a shell, wrap it up, throw it out the window. Here's the difference. The difference between it being long and feeling long are completely separate things, because when you get greeted at the drive-through and they're like, how many can take your order?
Yep.
Right. It just feels like it goes on forever. But when you pull into a Chick-fil-A, it's almost like a little show. You have multiple lanes.
Oh,
you have all these enthusiastic, smiling people running around in their little safety vests with their tablets, like smiling, going to cars, this and that. I've never felt like it felt long in a Chick-fil-A drive-through.
Well, here's my question, and I don't know. Maybe we need to look at the survey a little bit longer, but to be like just under 3.5 minutes for a Taco Bell. Like that, most Taco Bells hardly ever have 3 people waiting in line at a time ever, compared to a Chick-fil-A that typically have 30 to 50 people waiting in line at a single time. There's got to be like a metric that they could.
There is something similar to that in there. It's not adjusting the time, but they said like the throughput of vehicles, like vehicle per time, is like Chick-fil-A wins that race. Like how fast they can get vehicles through the drive-through. Like that's, I think, the metric that you're looking for. That is there, and Chick-fil-A is like very, very high ahead of that,
right? And so I think that this is like you said, how does it feel if you have to be there for 5 minutes and 12 seconds? You know you're going in, you know you're going to be 20th in line. Does it feel good by the time you get through the line? Is your order accurate? Is the food hot, so that the satisfaction on the other end of that is like, I waited for this for a reason.
And tie this back to what's happening in every dealership across the country every day. Maybe you have your sales process and you're a rock star and you're 45 minutes to an hour getting people out the door. That's great. Make that experience great. The time is always in your favor. People are going to feel great. If you're not there yet, if you're working on it and you're still at 2 hours or maybe more than 2 hours, there are a lot of things you can do that make it not feel like 2 hours.
Yes.
Because that 2 hours is going to feel like 6 hours if you're not communicating well, if you're not being attentive to their body language and their needs, and you're just running them through your process without empathy. So, I mean, Jesse Cole was like, hey, like,
he was like, why not make it longer?
So great that people want to stay longer.
Right. Yeah. Like, and I think that we can take that, and whether you want to be at a 15-minute process or a 3-hour process, what are you doing in that timeline to where people don't feel like they're ready to leave by the minute they get there? And if we can execute that as an auto, we're going to win.
I think that's the way to end it. Hope you have an amazing Monday. Reach out, pay attention to customers, and make your day feel like it was only half as long. Why not?